a biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
You're with Wendy Francis on 2020. Now, each week in this program, we check up on current political issues with the Australian Christian lobby. For those of you who know me, you would know that I worked for ACL for many years, so it's obviously a very special treat for me to welcome to the program this Monday regular ACL CEO, Michelle Pearse. Michelle, it's actually a real privilege for me to have you as my first guest because it's actually helped me not to be too nervous. So thank you for that. But thank you more so for all you and your team do on behalf of each one of us. I guess I know a sneak peek behind what you do, so I'm grateful for that. Thank you. It's good to have you.
Oh, it's great to chat with you, Wendy, and we all miss you being on team at ACL.
Oh, thank you. I miss you too. It would actually be really easy for us to have a quick catch-up whilst everyone listens in. I'm sure they'd be interested in that. Yeah, that's right. But I'd better stick to my prepared notes because there's a lot to get through. So let's start in South Australia. The Greens MP, this is something that has been going on for such a long time. She's tabled yet another prostitution bill. This is the 15th attempt to decriminalise prostitution in that state since 1999. So can you just give us a brief, précis of what effect this bill would have if it got up?
Yeah, I mean, you and I, Wendy, have been campaigning on this issue for so many years, and we've always upheld that the buying of sex needs to be criminal because it's exploitation of women. And any time any government moves to legalise or decriminalise or just make it easier for pimps to run brothels, it further, increases exploitation for women and makes the state a much more dangerous place. It becomes a haven for sex traffickers. And so that's what this bill is doing. It should be called the Pimp Protection Bill because it protects pimps and proposes to make sex work a protected attribute under an amendment to the Equal Opportunity Act. So this actually happened recently in the Prostitution Act that was recently passed in Queensland. So once again, it seems to be that thing that's passing around the states. When one state does it, another state moves to do it as well. So just again, liberalising the sex industry. This is incredibly regressive for women's rights, and just the view that when a woman sells her body, it makes her body a commodity, and that's really dangerous for society to see a woman's sexuality in that way. So a Greens member did introduce it, as you said, and so we really need to ensure that Labor stands firm against this, and that this is just yet another unsuccessful attempt.
It does seem to me as if the Greens are exposing themselves as being very radical. People are sort of catching on to that. But this is an issue that's been close to your heart and mine, I know. When you were Western Australia State Director, long before you had children, before you went to London and all of that, back in 2006, this was actually one of the first issues I think you lobbied on. And you lobbied not only against the decriminalisation of prostitution, but you were lobbying for a different way of legislation, a different method of legislating prostitution. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, it started over in Sweden, was this attempt to, they wanted to decrease the amount of human trafficking in that nation, because there was a lot of sex trafficking, a lot of women being exploited. It was actually a push by the feminists who saw that buying a woman's body for sex was exploitation. And so through the law and through policy, they needed to send a strong message to society and actually change the way culture thought about this and make it illegal to purchase a woman for sex. And so they passed that, but it also went with a cultural campaign to educate people about the harms of prostitution. And they actually created exit programs to help women to get out of the industry, to support them, to show them there are other choices. And the government was able to help women get out of the industry. Now, this spread throughout many sort of Nordic countries. It's now become known as the Nordic model. And so we're trying to raise awareness of this model in Australia, that this is really the only successful way to deal with this. Otherwise, your nation does become a destination country for human traffickers. And when we've got Asia on our doorstep, it is a problem in Australia. It is happening under the radar of even the police. And And when I was in Western Australia, we were able to make this a prominent issue, to push this model. It was in the newspaper, and it was the reason why we were able to stop the prostitution bill from progressing in Western Australia. But since then, in South Australia, they've actually put this model into a bill, and they called it the Equality Bill in South Australia. It was only defeated by one vote. So it does show that there is a possibility that something like this can be passed in Australia, and we're just continuing to educate. But it's so unfortunate when prostitution bills become further liberalised, it's women who suffer.
Exactly. And it's one of the things that ACL does very well, I know, is that you're able to hold up the arms of hero MPs that we see, the ones that take it forward in the Parliament. And that's what's happened really in South Australia with Nicola Centofanti. But we're really watching this carefully, because if we were successful in South Australia to stop this current Greens bill, but also to get a good bill up, that domino effect that you talked about can happen for good as well as for bad, can't it?
Right. Exactly. And that's what we'd hope to see. Once one of these bills passes, we can see it happen all over Australia.
Yeah. One of the bad things that happens is that domino effect for evil. And we've seen a lot of bad stuff come out of Victoria over recent years. And there are new anti-vilification laws that have passed. So in a nutshell, why is this concerning? I mean, no one wants vilification. So when they use these words, anti-vilification, it's sort of, I guess it can sound quite attractive. But why is this concerning?
We need to be suspicious of anything coming out of Victorian Labor. The whole history of this anti-vilification and social cohesion bill came from a push from the LGBTQ lobby to really silence any opposition to their agenda. And so within this so-called social cohesion bill, it has restrictive measures on the freedom for Christians to be able to state what they believe in teaching, in preaching within their congregations, because if they cause offence to somebody, then that person can report them to the Equal Opportunities Commission and then them get caught up in a long battle. So there was a lot of discussions between ACL, between Christians and the Jewish people with the government, and in good faith, they did put in some religious purpose defence amendments in the bill. But in the last moment, the Greens put forward an amendment that further weakened these defences, and Labor supported them. So whenever a bill passes, and we're in, ACL is a lot in the detail of the policy, and often with extra words that they put in, it's with an agenda to further inhibit the freedom of people that oppose the LGBTQ agenda. So they inserted, and I'll just explain the words that they inserted and why it's important to see how this restricts freedom. They inserted after worship, observance, practice, teaching, preaching, and proselytizing. So this is a defence that means anything that's to do with worship, observance, practice, teaching, preaching, proselytizing is okay. But then the Greens put some more words on that said that is in conformity with the doctrines, beliefs, or principles of that religion. So why is that a problem? Well, it's because it puts theology or the doctrines or beliefs or principles in the hands of the judge to determine what those doctrines, beliefs or principles are. So before it was open and it was really just according to the religion that was being defended. But now that it's stipulated that's in conformity with doctrines, beliefs and principles, then the courts have to argue, well, what is Christian theology? And we know that no judge should have to interpret what a Christian theology is, because judges who aren't Christians and perhaps a judge who might lean a certain way may disagree that it is part of our theology that there is male and female and that we believe in sexuality that's just reserved for male-female in marriage. And so this really opens it up for Christians to be brought before the courts, reported to the Equal Opportunities Commission, and then it to be a more difficult battle to win.
And we know, judges are not elected. So we have no ability. Yeah, it's a huge concern. There's a lot going on, and I'm not going to have time to get through it all. But as far as the whole conversion therapy stuff and everything that goes on, there has been some encouraging news out of Queensland, but there's also a little bit discouraging out of New South Wales. Really briefly, can you tell us, what is the concern about New South Wales? And then I just want to mention the Oz votes before we finish up.
Yeah, so the Conversion Practices Ban Act actually comes into effect today in New South Wales. So this was a battle we faced last year, but the bill doesn't actually come into effect, or the act comes into effect now. So there is some religious exemptions in that. However, it's debatable, it's not clear, and so we know that this isn't clear because the New South Wales Anti-Discrimination Commission has just come out with a question and answer, frequently asked questions on conversion therapy, and they've actually put up a bit of a comic on what is conversion, what is a conversion practice, and one of those pictures is of somebody praying for somebody else. And within the frequently asked questions, they've listed prayer as a conversion practice. And so, as Christians, we really, we love and we care for our fellow, believers that might be struggling in areas of their gender and sexuality. And as Christians, we want to encourage somebody who's struggling to feel secure in their identity as a male or a female. And if they're thinking about changing their gender, we would warn them. We say that's dangerous. God made you perfect the way you are. And out of our love and care for that person, we'd want to help them to be secure in their in the gender that they were born with.
Absolutely.
But this is going to be called a conversion practice. So,
and we know how powerful prayer is. So, of course, there's going to be an attack on prayer. Michelle, I just loved even seeing you on the screen because, I love you and ACL so much. So coming up to the federal election, we've got AustraliaVotes.org.au. There's that AustraliaVotes.org.au. That's an ACL website completely dedicated to the election. So I want to encourage everybody to go to that website, have a look and see what forums there are, what the ACL are doing. There's a lot of work going behind the scenes. But then their normal website, acl.org.au, you follow along there, get their weekly email. Please do that. Sign up for their weekly email. But thank you, Michelle. God bless you and your staff. We are so grateful to God for each and every one of you. Please give my love to everybody back at ACL.
Thanks, Wendy. Great to speak with you.
God bless you. Bye.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.